the truth begins. Bless your heart, ain't what you think. It's a shot of sass in a sugar drink. Stay salty, shout, loud, be proud. Bless your heart, but don't back down. Ain't peeling off the withered wood. She'll cut you deep, but it's for your good. Underneath that floral print smile, she's a wildfire hiding all the while. She says, hush now, honey, then drops a bomb and leaves you wondering what went wrong.
Hey y'all, it's Mamaw. Welcome to our coffee on a good Sunday morning. We've just got lots we can be talking about. I swear to God. Just when you think things can't get any more ridiculous, they do. So let's see who all we got on here this morning. Oh, we got a few folks on. Tony, good morning from Columbus. I'll be talking some about what's going on in Ohio, so we will have a good moving on there. Okay, I got more people getting on. Good morning, Barb. How are you? Carolyn from Metro Detroit. Now, next week, we might have a problem, Carolyn, because you know it's the big game. North and South. Callista Queener, hey, good morning to you. Good morning, Jennifer from Massachusetts. So we'll get started a little bit here this morning. Everybody got their coffee, I hope? It's going to be a long one. Before I get started, I'm still trying to get my interview with Todd Achilles of Idaho uploaded. Grandson isn't here. I've tried to do the editing myself, and I got to tell you, I am not very competent with CapCut yet. I think I've got everything done except trying to get it exported, and it's not exporting, but I will get that posted sometime today. Okay, Christine from Chicagoland, Candy from Mount Sterling, and we will be again talking a little bit about what's going on in Ohio today. So, without further ado, this week we are going to be talking about sloth. Sloth is defined as the culpable lack of physical or spiritual effort. Not the taco. It goes beyond mere laziness. Sloth reflects a willful refusal to engage in the joy and responsibilities that come from a relationship with God and your fellow human beings. This sin can manifest as spiritual apathy, where individuals neglect their duties, to acts of charity, and ultimately distancing themselves from any type of grace. The concept of sloth has roots in early Christian teachings, where it was identified as a significant temptation that could lead to spiritual decline. It was included among the 7 deadly sins by Pope Gregory and later by Thomas Aquinas. Sloth has often been associated with a lack of love and commitment and can lead to despair and rejection of the divine goodness. The distinction from laziness. While laziness is often seen as a lack of physical activity, sloth encompasses a deeper spiritual indifference. It is characterized by a neglect of spirit and refusal to embrace the joys that comes from fulfilling one's responsibilities. This can lead to a lukewarm faith where individuals become indifferent. The consequences of sloth as a deadly sin because it can sever one's relationships, leading to further moral decline, potential for eternal separation from grace if unrepented. It can also spur other sins, as neglecting, let me get on here, duties and often results in a lack of engagement with the community and a failure to perform good works. The taco fails to perform good works? You know, let me tell you how Taco looks at good works. Taco left yesterday on the helicopter to go to Joint Base Andrews because our president seems, with all of everything going on, to have time to personally oversee the redesigning of a golf course on a military base for his convenience at taxpayer funding, and again without congressional approval. What the heck? It is Sunday. In summary, sloth is a complex sin that reflects a deeper malaise, emphasizing the importance of diligent and active engagement and responsibilities. It serves as a reminder to the need to cultivate a vibrant spiritual life and to resist the temptations of apathy and indifference. And trust you me, the taco is completely indifferent to how the rest of the United States is living. This very morning, keep in mind that 50 million people are suffering from food insecurity in this country, mainly because of what the taco has done in the last 11 months. 50 million people. Keep that in mind as we come in close on Thanksgiving. Taco is the epitome of sloth. He is mentally, physically, and spiritually lazy. He calls women pigs and low IQ and criticizes the looks of women. To which Mamaw says, "Honey child, pull up a mirror, you need to look in it." So that covers what we were going to cover today on sloth, and now I've got a whole bunch of other stuff we need to cover today. So let's see what y'all are up to. Carolyn, you just said wrong. Wrong about what? You got to remember, yes, Shelley, Congress really sucks. Teresa Kingus, good morning to you, sister, from Cleveland. Okay, we got a lot to talk about Ohio coming up. Darlene from Washington, is that state or D.C.? Good morning from the Gila River Indian Reservation. Well, thank you, Carolyn Spang. My husband and I spend a lot of time out in Arizona, and we love it out there. Sherry Fowler is from Alabama. Wendy Allen from Foggy, Missouri. Hey, for the first time in days, there's actually this big round object in the sky, and it's really bright, and it's kind of warm. I don't know what it is, but I'm loving it here in southeastern Ohio. Glenda Ann from Buffalo. Okay, so I think I got everybody there. And we've got Charlene Burkett again from Decatur. Karen from Maine, how are you this morning? Man, I wish that Zuckerberg would do this better. Okay, Joe Mitchner Ingalls wants to know, how is nobody stopping him with all these commitments, with all these comments? I have no idea why they are not stopping him. Even this redesign of this golf course would take approvals. It would take congressional money expenditures moved over. And if he just wants to do something, he's just doing it. And for some reason, the Treasury is allowing him. And I don't even know how the Treasury Secretary is allowing him without a written sign-off approval from Congress. And keep in mind, old Mikey Johnson now, I think, only has one-person majority. And after January 5th, with Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning, I don't know if it's equal or she's the one. So let's talk about what's happened this week. The Epstein Act was signed into law in the House. There was only one from Louisiana that voted against it. I hope he's primaried and loses. And in the Senate, it was unanimous. It went to the president's desk. He did not have a signing ceremony. He did it very privately and quietly, but he signed it because his back was against the wall. He had no choice because it was completely veto proof. So he signed it into law. They're supposed to release it. There is that little caveat, except for investigations. But I'm telling you, the Democrats are already on it, and they're watching Blondie Pam Bondi, the protector of pedophiles, for any stunts she's going to pull. And they have got ample video of her saying that there was no more investigation. There's no there. So anything that Taco's throwing at her to cover his butt, I think, is going to fail abysmally. So, and keep in mind, the estate is sitting on a trove of information. Now, for all you at Thanksgiving that are going to hear from people where they're saying, oh, it's a hoax, the president said it's a hoax, remind them the president, Donald J. Trump, otherwise known as the Taco, ran on releasing the Epstein files for his MAGA base. His MAGA base has been churned up about this since 2016, as a matter of fact. All of his right-wing commentators and influencers have ginned up the masses on the Epstein files, so they all knew that that was coming. Then he kept saying he was going to run on it. As soon as he got in office, he was going to release them any day. That Blondie Pam Bondi, the protector of pedophiles, said it was on her desk, ready to release. No issues there. And then they went through them. And she told the Taco his name is all through the report. The brakes went on, and suddenly it became this Democratic hoax. Then you'll also hear from the right-wing crowd, well, there's Democrats in there. Okay, I'm good with that. If there's Democrats in there, they also need to be exposed, because pedophilia and rich old men taking advantage of girls is not a partisan issue. It's a human rights issue. It shouldn't even be up for debate. So you tell them, fine, release it. Now it's gone from that to, oh, it's a hoax. This is a witch hunt. Okay. The Queen of England got those records because Prince Andrew paid Virginia Giuffre a big chunk of money to settle a lawsuit. Mama the Queen paid that. She also then took him off of any kind of royal duties and stuck him at Frogmore Cottage in a corner. When his brother became king, his brother then got to look at the Epstein files, which coincided with Virginia's book coming out, Nobody's Girl. And the king, being a brother instead of a parent, was really unhappy with his brother and completely stripped him of everything, including his pension, his home, everything. So do not let anybody say it's a hoax. Do not let them do the regurgitation of the Taco talking points. It is real. It needs released. And I don't care whose name's on there, they need exposed. Since when do we protect criminals? Right here in my home county, we have several cases of child pornography and child molestations in the courts right now. They've been grand jury indicted. Why are these people being treated differently than the rich people? Exactly. So that's what the Epstein files, that's where we are with that. Along with that, with all the pressure that the Taco tried to put on Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert to withdraw their names from signature, he put death threats out against him. And Marjorie Taylor Greene's must be pretty credible. She's got 24-hour service now, and she has finally said she will resign, and her last day in the Congress will be January 5th. Now, before we all jump on that she's had this great big change, keep in mind what she keeps saying is the Taco has gone soft and made a big turn away from the beliefs of the MAGA movement. So she's really still completely all in with all the MAGA crap. It's just that now the taco is taking care of the taco and doing things that are completely against what the MAGA movement proclaimed to be. And I think slowly but surely people are starting to understand this movement's getting them nowhere, that they've been duped. So that's how, if it's brought up at Thanksgiving, and I know a lot of people said they're going to try to stay from politics, but if you got that crazy uncle, that's your answers. So, aside from Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning this week, Trump, we had 3 senators and 3 congressmen. They were either veterans of the U.S. Armed Forces or they were veterans of our CIA or FBI. Now, to put it in context, also this week, we had an admiral resign, and we've had several other members of the military seek legal advice, and some of them went to their own congressmen or senators on being in the streets of cities, which is against the posse comitatus and also the Fifth Amendment, if you listen to any of my drops, and about us blowing up these ships in international water. Now, I want you to think seriously. First of all, if another country were blowing up ships in international waters, we'd be pulling our hair out and screaming to do something. That's number one. Number two, again, in the Fifth Amendment, everyone has a right to due process. So if they're breaking the law, if we can see them from outer space, we can send ships to intercept them. We can then get the cargo. Then we know for sure we have evidence, and you take them to trial. That's what you do. You cannot be the, I think this is what they have, the judge, the jury, and the executioner. That is not what our nation is about. So what these senators and congressmen did was they put out a public service announcement that said, you do not have to take an illegal order. Now, there's a bunch of people that have been squawking the difference between illegal and unlawful. I'll post that. We're splitting hairs at this point, because the bottom line is, if it's illegal by law, if it's illegal by the Constitution, or if it is immoral or unethical. In other words, it's not necessarily against the law to go into your coworker's desk and pull out information and then use it as your own, but it's unethical as hell. You see where I'm coming at? The Uniform Code of Military Justice says you do not have to take an illegal / unlawful order under any circumstances. Now, that doesn't mean you don't do an order just because you don't like it. But if you truly feel it's against the law, the first thing you do is to seek legal advice from your JAG officer. You report it up the chain of command for clarification, or what these upper officers did is they contacted their senator or congressman. Hey, what do we do here? In doing so, the President of the United States said these 6 should be held for treason and put to death. He did that. Elected members of the Senate and Congress. He knows his words have sting. He knows his words cause the crazies to act. And it's just like what he did on January 6th. He takes out that whistle and he calls in the dogs. So you all need to be aware of that and point that out. That is absolutely outrageous. And not only has he yet to rescind, Caroline Levitt, he said they keep leaving out the word illegal. That was very prominently said repeatedly. So she said, well, they're telling him not to obey the president's orders. No, that's not what they said. You have the Fox Noise channel telling people, they're being told not to. No, that's not what they said. You just play it over. You hear them very distinctly say illegal orders. So they're trying to do that. And Mikey Johnson and John Thune, the leaders of both chambers, have yet to come out and say, this is wrong, this is what they did, and the president should take that back. But they're cowards. So just when passing the Epstein, you think, okay, they're getting it, they buckle. And going back to Mikey Johnson and Epstein, so Mikey Johnson is still talking about he's got to get with Thune to do some markups on that bill. Mikey, there's a little show that used to be out, and it was part of Fraggle Rock, and they go out and they teach you about, the law or how something becomes a bill. Once the president signs it, it's a done deal. John Thune can't pull that back and put write-ups on it. What's the matter with you? You're the Speaker of the House. You teach law. You should know that. Come on. And moving on. So, Wendy Allen says anyone who is in the Epstein files needs to be revealed, prosecuted, and they need to pay for what they did to those girls. This is not a political issue. It's a human rights morality issue. Absolutely. So that needs to go on. Samantha C., good morning from Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, Linda McKinney says MTG will be just fine. Oh, yes, she will. I look for her to pop up either in the Senate or the governor's race. Teresa Dash says the English monarchy has shown incredible strength and honor with its Epstein files. This is an example we need. Yes, it is. Yes, Marty Underwood said MTG waited for her pension to kick in. Yes, what a lot of people don't know, the January 5th date is the date she was sworn in. That makes 5 years, and that means that she will get her pension. Congress gets their pension if they have 5 years, which also means they can still buy into their congressional health care that they don't want you to have, but they want to make sure they have. Sue Goldsmith says Taco does not believe in evidence. That's why he always screams fake or hoax. Yeah, but I think everybody's getting really tired of that scratching that record. Okay. Yes, I saw that we had thousands against the taco, but we need millions. We need just like the Women's March to descend upon D.C., maybe in the spring. Okay. Linda Gray says the taco thinks he's such a tough man. He's a baby because he never served, never read or understood the Constitution. Linda, honey, I don't think that boy can read. You have to we need a Constitution with pictures. And if he has him a picture book, maybe some crayons to go with it, I think he would do just fine. So, you all remember about the race for New York governor and how that's been going. And Taco was screaming he's a socialist, maybe a communist, and he was going to have him deported, and even got Pete Hegseth, the Defense Department, talking about what they were going to do, and Taco was going to put troops in the streets of New York over Mondami. Mondami said all along Trump's a fascist, which he is, and then Mondami wins. And he not only wins, he really wins in New York. And the Taco's still a squawking, okay, I'm sending the troops in. So Mondami, much to his credit, and what a shrewd politician, instantly calls the president and says, I'd like to come to the White House to meet with you. And in typical Taco fashion, just like you have seen him with Kim Jong-un, Xi Jinping, Pootie Poo, all these people that he's saying are our enemies and stuff, the minute he meets somebody, he gets all fangirl. He just gets all weak in the knees and girly girl. So Mondami comes in. They have just a quick 20-minute meeting, and then they're out in front of everybody. Taco's seated at the desk, and Mondami standing. Now, number one, anybody that knows anything about dealing knows that in order to exert that you are the person in power, you always want to be taller than or standing over the other person. It's the visual. They teach you that in leadership training, right down to the handshake and all. So there's Taco sitting at his desk, and who was standing up? Mondami. So who has the stronger position? Mondami. So Taco's a patting him on the hand and how they're going to work together and how happy he is. And just, oh, it was just a love fest. And a reporter said to Mondami, thinking they'd be smart, well, didn't you call him a fascist? And Mondami was getting ready to say yes. And Trump says, yeah, just say yes. And that way you don't have to explain it. And moved on. Now, what Taco also did in this act is the right was all geared up to make Mondami the poster child for the Democrats. Oh my God, we're electing socialists and Democrats are socialists and blah, blah, blah. And Trump just knocked all the air out of their sails for what they're going to run on next year. He's probably the best strategist the Democrats have. So that's how the Mondami greeting went. In another event, someone happened to accidentally record on their phone, and they have released it after the meeting with Mondami. J.D. Vance red button about it. J.D., and I posted it, it's on the site, all upset that Taco is so nice to Mondami and patting his hand and helping him out, and he doesn't do anything for J.D. Well, I'm keep trying to tell Jimmy Hamill, the problem is he's young, he's ambitious as hell, and the Taco knows there is one human being on earth that can invoke the 25th Amendment, and that's a very young and ambitious J.D. Vance, who it looks like is even willing to throw his own wife under the bus to move up. So that's going to be a continuing story to watch. Okay. The last thing I've got on Trump is Trump administration officials met with Russia. They acquiesced and agreed to all of Russia's demands to end the Ukraine war. Never involved Ukraine. Came out and said, okay, Ukraine, here's the deal. You have to give up 1/5 of your territory and you can never enter NATO. That's the great peace plan. Now keep in mind, we are rewarding, once again, Putin for bad behavior. So Putin now knows I can go in, invade any country, take what land I want, and everybody's going to back off and give me that portion of the land. The Donbass, which takes up 1/5 of the territory of Ukraine, is the area that's rich in oil and also gives him access to seaports. That's why he wants it. This is outrageous. I don't know how you broker a peace plan without one of the parties being involved. The party that was wronged, the party that was invaded. And then to say they can never join NATO, bullcrap. That's just absolute bullcrap. And even Europeans, they are getting ready to get into an alliance with Ukraine. And then Trump comes out with this. That man is absolutely a foreign affairs disaster. And he's made us fools in the eyes of the entire world that we've spent the last 70 years garnering good faith and that we're always there for you and that we are the power to be, and we are now at the weakest position we have ever been in. And finally, for you Ohioans, the big news this week was Tim Ryan is not running for governor of Ohio. I got a call at 7:30 in the morning when he released that he wasn't running. I have mixed feelings, but primarily, I really think Tim Ryan is meant for federal offices. I think he can be senator. I think he'll be an outstanding senator should he choose to run for a Senate campaign. And that's what I hope he does. I hope he does not give up on politics altogether. I think a lot of information has come out about the other senator that will be up for re-election after this, Husted. And keep in mind, even if Sherrod Brown wins this race against Husted in 26, that seat's up again in 28. That was the original J.D. Vance seat that Tim ran for. So we'll see how that goes. But we have a lot of people that are still uncomfortable here in Ohio with a woman running and being elected in this state. You know what? It is embarrassing that Ohio is ranked 45th in our GDP exports, that we have these wonderful universities here. In fact, the first university in the whole Northwest Territory was in Ohio at Ohio University, that we have all of this bounty in Ohio, and because we have a super majority of Republicans and have had for over 20 years, because most of our counties are monolithic in being Republican on down, we are in the bottom 5 on everything. It's an embarrassment. People, you need to snap out of it. We have teachers that are in shock what we've done to our education, and yet they'll turn right around and they want to vote Republican. You need to snap out of it. Everybody's all upset about the gerrymandering that was done in Ohio with, all this, we're just doing it. Let me tell you something. Just because they gerrymander you that way doesn't mean you have to vote that way. And I keep saying this over and over until I am blue in the face. If the candidate does not have to work for your vote, they will only work for the people financing them. So keep that in mind. In the district that I'm in, which is always Republican, Dave Taylor never comes to an event. He, I don't think, has been to every county that he's running in. He doesn't have to. He only shows up for fundraisers, little special events like that. But he is heavily, heavily indebted to outside investments, outside businesses that aren't necessarily in the best interest of his constituents. So if you keep electing and keep voting just because you're gerrymandered on these Republicans, all you're doing is telling them, yeah, it's okay for you to slit my throat and go ahead and keep building football stadiums at the cost of my children's education. That's exactly what you're telling them. You're telling them, yeah, it's okay to withhold food stamps and withhold access to food pantries so that we can better enrich the ruling class. Yeah, it's okay to elect a billionaire who says all I got to do is lift myself up by the bootstraps, even though we're shutting down major employers. That's what you're saying to them. When they don't have to work for your vote, they're not going to work for you. And that's Mamaw on her high horse. And Mike DeWine, the man has no courage. Just when you think Mikey might do the right thing, he buckles. He just cannot bring it upon himself to do the right thing. That goes to him sending our National Guard wherever the taco wanted. It's I'm ashamed of him, and it's embarrassing. Okay, well, that's all I had this morning. Hey, and I only went 3 minutes over. We're getting better at this. Justin Bozeman says Trump is a laughing stock, and it's so funny laughing at. I know, he's an idiot. Shelley Leach says, but the GOP hates people that they hate. Yes, they do. I am just stunned at the hate. And like I said, please, I'm not trying to convert you to any kind of Christianity or to be a church goer. That is not my intent with the Sunday morning. The reason I want you to watch Reverend Lines is so that you have information, solid biblical information, so when these right-wing, white nationalist, so-called Christians start barfing out their bullshit, you can nail them right back. You will have the information to say, hate the sin and love the sinner. That is not in the Bible. That is nowhere in the Bible whatsoever. So you can kick back on things like that. So that you can kick back, if you are a Christian, you are following the New Testament. And that always shocks them. Christ is only in the New Testament. So you start intertwining them, it doesn't work that way. The Old Testament is the Jewish Bible. That really tears people up when you say that. Rhonda Fidela, honey, if I'm saying your name wrong, I apologize. Says, I love what you say and what's on your mind. Thank you. Well, a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and I'm trying to keep it from going to mush. Teresa Dash says, the hate has always been there. Now it's out in the open. Yep, it just jumped. Y'all got to understand my thing just keeps scrolling. People are emboldened to show their true colors because of the current administration. That is correct. It is our job to use our outside voices to speak up and drive them back. When they're silent and people don't hear it, we are where we are because we were in shock, we were polite, and we were being, let's face it, a lot of people succumbed to being bullied because they thought there were more of them than there were of us. That is not true. We are going to show up in record numbers at the primaries. We're going to show up in record numbers next fall, and we are going to shake things up just like they did. These polls are wrong. Don't listen to them. You drag anybody you know that can vote. We have got to take control of this, because if we don't, within 5 years, we're going to be in a complete oligarchy. That's where we're at. No more being polite. No more being silent. Speak up. What are they going to do? Take away your birthday? I had someone ask me the other day in a private message. They were very concerned about my safety. Mamaw's fine. I'm not concerned about my safety. I'm a United States citizen. I served in the military. I am not afraid. And I have a Rottweiler. Okay. Well, Rosemarie, I love that you joined on here, and you stay strong too. Let's see. Yes, Trump should be nervous that Marjorie Taylor Greene is off the leash. Yes, Wendy, Pangelina, keep watching Reverend Lines and share. Linda Gray, you're not kidding. The color of sloth is orange. Okay, so sometime this afternoon, please be patient with me. I'm learning. I want to thank my BFF for going with me to Athens, Ohio. Friday, I had tutoring from a college student. Thank you, Catherine, for helping Mamaw out on Zoom so that my subscribers, we can now Zoom. I'm learning more on the software. I'm trying to learn the editing software better so that I can do these editing, because my grandson's going to be graduating and I'm going to have to learn how to do this stuff. But anyway, I'll be releasing my interview with Todd Achilles. I hope you'll all watch it. It was really an interesting movement that these veterans have that are running for Senate in different states as independents, kind of taken in with the Bernie Sanders and Angus King, to where neither party now will have the majority and they will have to work with the independents to get things done. I think that's the only way to stop our gridlock. I think they're really onto something. They all remember their oath to the Constitution. So the next one I'll be doing is Brian Bing of South Dakota. Then I'll be doing Ty Pinkins from Mississippi. Then I'm going to Columbus. I'll be interviewing Amy Acton. I'll also be interviewing Adam Miller, who's running for Congress. Again, a retired veteran, JAG officer. That should be really interesting. So I'm putting the information out there so that in various states, yes, I live in Ohio, but people say, well, why are you doing these other people? Well, we now have an international porch. So I'm trying to make it so you all can have information, but keep in mind, any senator and congressman that we elect, even though they're from our particular state, they affect all of us in the country. And if any of them really piques your interest, like Amy McGrath, please donate. Please help them out. Just $5. When you have almost 90,000 followers, if you just submit $5 to them, it's going to be of a great benefit. I mean, that's quite a nest egg for a campaign. And these campaigns are expensive. Okay, I'm going to get off of here. So I held you at 40 minutes. Stay salty. Use your outside voice. I'll be doing mixing up now between doing just unannounced live drops and then my regular edited videos throughout the week. Tuesday night, we will recap what's going on. So I'm really building this platform up and we're going to be doing some new and interesting things. So stay salty, use your outside voices, and I love you. Bye bye.